Hello, welcome back to the channel, and today it'll be a Michigan fan doing the Michigan State Spartan video. This is probably the last week of videos. I know I kind of said it last week, but this will probably be my last week of videos specifically. We'll go into more broader college football things and an NFL hopefully getting up here soon. Last week of July coming up here. I know a week from today is the last day of July, but you know what I mean. Last full week of July, which means it's almost August, and August means, we're right there. We're almost to college football, everybody. We're going to make it through this offseason together, Everybody's got crosses to bear, and guys like me, our cross is that offseason, man, and we're getting there. So following the same format that I normally do, I know probably a lot of the people are going to be new to this video because they haven't come to the channel as much, but I hope you subscribe and stay. Michigan State. So usually how I start these videos, I do recruiting class coming in, transfer portal class coming in, a quick breakdown of prospects that could be going to the next level, what you lost, then the depth chart, quickly looking at the schedule, a little prediction, and then some closing thoughts. So we'll start off with recruiting. 24th in the country last year, in between Ole Miss and Nebraska, so pretty good. As for their ranking in the Big Ten, I actually don't even know that one. I'm going to quickly look that up real quick. They're 4th in the Big Ten, so it's kind of a big freak out by everyone, especially my fan base, making fun of Michigan State fans. But 4th in the Big Ten, 16 commits, 9 of those being 4 stars, 7 of those being 3 stars. The face of the class has to be the man out of the Community Christian School from Norman, Oklahoma, Bai Joby. This is the #1 guy in the state of Oklahoma. He's a big edge. Pairing him with another defensive lineman from Iowa, this time Pleasant Valley, Andrew Dape. I don't know how to say it. Depaepe. Andrew Dape. After that, Jordan Hall from IMG, a linebacker, 4-star. Another 4-star offensive tackle, Stanton Ramo from Albastor, Alabama. Keyshawn Blackstock, he is going to be an inside offensive lineman from Kansas as well. Sam Leavitt is an Oregon quarterback, going to be a 4-star guy coming in. He might take the job over next year because we really don't know who's going to be that. I'm jumping ahead here. Getting 2 guys from in-state, as you always like to see. They have Cole Dellinger, a 3-star guard, and then Jalen Thompson to round out the 4 stars is a 4-star D lineman, the 4th-ranked recruit in the state. So a little bit of mix of a few guys in state, but mostly some out-of-state guys. A lot of deep Midwest, Rust Belt type guys. So Tornado Alley, I would say, with a lot of Oklahoma and Kansas, which is pretty interesting for me looking at the recruiting class for the first time. Now, getting more into Tuck's wheelhouse, we're going to look here at the transfer portal. Now, the thing with the transfer portal here is there was quite a few exits. #1, Keon Coleman. One of the funnier commitment videos where he said the next 7 to 9 months he is going to be taking his talents to Tallahassee. So you can very much guess that he'll be in the NFL draft this upcoming year. Was a dual athlete, actually played a bit of basketball as well. But they also lose Jeremy Bernard, a wide receiver, Deshaun Mallory, a defensive lineman, to Arizona State, and Jeff Protowski, an edge, to Wisconsin. But other than that, they bring in some pretty nice pieces. Tumizi Adelaide, he is a defensive lineman from Texas A&M. Ademola Fale, a tight end from Norfolk State. They bring in a kind of reviving that pipeline from Washington. They have Samar Melvin, a corner, coming in. They've got Nathan Carter, running back from UConn, coming in. He had a pretty viral photo of him looking very jacked in the weight room, which made its way around Twitter. Another running back in Jaron Mognaham, and then maybe one of those 2 guys could be the next Kenneth Walker. Who knows? A wide receiver from Nebraska, Alante Brown. And then another big one that left was Peyton Thorne, the starting quarterback, went over to Auburn to try to rekindle his career with Hugh Freeze. Other than that, just some depth on a few sides of the ball. They brought in a new kicker, Jonathan Kim from North Carolina. I don't think he'll be starting, along with a long snapper from Ohio State, Mason Arnold. Looking at the depth chart, Jonathan Kim will be kicking. So there you go. He's going to be the new kicker for the Michigan State Spartans after they had a bit of a fiasco at that position last year. Don't have to tell my Spartan friends this, but obviously the battle of the spittoon against Indiana, losing like that in that fashion, was pretty brutal. No new guys on the offense that are going to be starting. Anybody that came in from the transfer portal is going to be depth. Nathan Carter is going to be the backup running back. Tyneil Hooper, backup tight end. Keyshawn Blackstock, backup left tackle, and Alante Brown, backup wide receiver. So defense, they've got the 2 of the guys coming in. Samar Melvin, the Wisconsin transfer, will be coming in, and then Tumizi Adelaide is a edge, actually, instead of a D tackle. I thought he was going to be coming out of Texas A&M. So their defense is better. It's more of Tuck's guys. They've really developed here, and it's hard to see with so many of these coaches, and Mel Tucker, unfortunately, was part of this. They have instant success year one, and people think that they have to live up to that standard going forward. And it's a pretty harsh expectation, especially when Michigan State got put between a rock and a hard place when they had to make the decision to either let the guy that went 11-2 in his first year in a crazy offseason, half-shortened offseason, he got hired late plus COVID, right? He goes 11-2, right? And his first full year, right? And goes to the Peach Bowl. And then LSU comes in and tries to buy him out and be like, hey, he's ours now. You can't let that happen, right? Their hand was forced, okay, to making that. I know it sucks as a Michigan fan. It's fun to make those $90 million man memes, but realistically speaking, let's grow up, right? They had to do it, because if they didn't, people in my fan base would be making the same joke, oh, brokey institution, right? It was a win-win for Michigan regardless. You either just going to overpay him or it's going to be a brokey boy, right? So that's where I think on that. So you got to give him some time, right? Look at Sonny Dykes. His first year over at TCU, he went 12-0, 13-0, lost the national championship game. His win total's at 6 this year. If they go 6-6, the national media is be like, this guy sucks. He had one good year and got super lucky. Obviously, if he builds on it, it's great, but it's pretty tough to build on that, right? Same thing with Michigan State. You're arguably in the hardest half of a conference in sports with Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, etc., right? So you're really screwed there. That's 3 losses pretty much every year. Obviously, you beat Michigan in that one of the greater comeback games in that rivalry, despite some questionable officiating. Who said that? But looking forward, it's going to be interesting to see how the lack of divisions helps them move forward. Obviously, I think it will. Penn State's not a protected rival, so there might be a year they don't play Penn State, where they could instead play Northwestern. That's huge. Think about last year if they would have played Northwestern instead of Penn State. That team's in a bowl game. They probably would win a bowl game. 7-6 is much better than 5-7. I don't got to do math there. Helping your new coach get more reps in the offseason, you'd probably have a better answer if it's going to be Caitlin Hauser or Noah Kim, right? That's another good question to spin into. Who's the quarterback? Obviously, it's a bit of a mid-off, being completely honest to Michigan State fans here. And I think they kind of understand that they're a little limited at the position as well. But there's a lot of transfer quarterbacks in the portal next year that we're going to see, like Malik Murphy from Texas. I'm going to talk about this kid all year. Super jacked, great quarterback from Texas, and there's no way Arch Manning is going to not start. So he's going to be definitely in the portal, I think. So he's a guy that every team should be already trying to hit up. But with the guys you have in the roster, Noah Kim, Caitlin Hauser, I think it's pretty clear it's going to be Noah Kim. From the Michigan State fans that I talked to in group chats and on the timeline and in real life, it's good to see. So they think that it's going to be Noah Kim. So I think that if this defense can figure it out, Michigan State's offensive line is going to probably improve. It couldn't get much worse from last year. You obviously your receiving core takes a pretty big hit, losing Keon Coleman and Jaden Reed. Hopefully Jalen Berger getting another year in the system. Nathan Carter's got a lot of upside. If you get those two guys to fix it and you start pounding the rock with that running clock, you could take advantage of some good games, and you could probably sneak up and upset some guys. Mel Tucker seems to be a very good coach when he's an underdog, and his record in one-score games cannot be disputed. I don't know the exact fact, but I know it's very, very good, and especially against Harbaugh. He's done very well in close games, clearly. So Michigan's always a game they got to worry about, but looking at the schedule as a whole, they start off against Central Michigan. As much as I want to joke and say Central Michigan could beat them, well, it's definitely a chance, but it should be Michigan State, right? Dan Lefevre, unfortunately, is not walking through those doors. The Canadian legend and all-time guy you can name and be like, man, remember him? Maction hero, all that. Will not be there, unfortunately. Neither will be anybody suiting up good for Richmond. So you're starting off 2-0, and here's where your test comes in. Washington Huskies, a fellow team that's made the College Football Playoff, along with Michigan State, usually the two that people forget about. The Huskies coming to town after a home-and-home with last year, the Huskies upsetting based on preseason and early expectations. They upset them last year pretty comfortably. And unfortunately for Michigan State, I think they're going to get absolutely run through. But it's a very good opportunity for you to make a statement game. Even covering the spread against a team of this magnitude at home is going to be very important. I know spread covering doesn't matter for anything, and moral victories are dumb in college football, but when you're in a semi-rebuilding year, like realistically speaking, no one really has crazy expectations for Michigan State. I think their best possible case scenario is 9 wins, right? And that would be like a revelation. That could be a borderline, we're burning couches, we're throwing a party, And that's no disrespect to Michigan State. It's just the limited aspect of this roster and the way it's constructed and the talent on the team. Even the best coaches, I don't think could get a ton out of it. So I'm trying not to be disrespectful here. Then you have Maryland at home. This is another game that's a big toss-up. I would like to think that if you have a competitive game against Washington, you could probably bounce back and beat Maryland at home. You will likely be an underdog. You likely will be everyone's sexy pick, as a plus money guy. You have them probably be like a 3.5 point underdog plus like 140. I mean, I already like that line, off the rip, and I haven't even seen how either team plays. I'm just Michigan State at home in a conference game against the not top three. It's the battle of who's going to be fourth in the Big Ten East, right? And I think that they could win this game. I know they lost it last year, but I think they could flip it. So now I have you sitting at 3-1, and you're going to have to go play at Kinnick. Hopefully, for your sake, it's not at night. It's a TBD as of now. But if it's a night game, that's an instant loss. It's probably a loss regardless because I'm pretty high on Iowa this year. They have a competent quarterback, Michigan ex-captain Cade McNamara, now under center for the Hawkeyes. Their offense is going to be much better than normal. Obviously, their defense and special teams is top 5 in the country pretty much year in and year out. So if their offense is a pulse, which I'd like to think it would, with Cade McNamara and Eric all coming in from Michigan in the transfer portal, I think that they're going to have some life and they'll take care of business. So we're looking at potentially 2-3, best case scenario 3-2, going into Rutgers on the road, which you really need to get going. It'll be off a bye week. It'll be a good statement game, and it'll be a good test to make sure you have it going. You're going to be 4-2 going into the Michigan game at home. Obviously, this is a big game every time. Michigan and hopefully the fans behave themselves after a rather dramatic season last year in the meeting after the game. More obviously referring to off-the-field issues, unfortunately. But I think it's going to be a very good game. I think the 20-point spread is a little nuts. But if I know anything about Jim Harbaugh, when he gets in these spots, he wants to do what he can. And he's going to come in with the stormtroopers, the flame troopers, and he's going to burn the woodshed to the ground. That's just what I think. Obviously, I'm pretty biased. I like to think that I'm showing my bias while wearing this shirt. But I think it's going to be a crazy game. Harbaugh's going to do his best to run up the score and go crazy. But rational Michigan fan here, when he starts to overlook Michigan State to the point where he wants them running up on him, I think it gets a little bit trickier than it is. So, Michigan State and the points looks pretty good there. I obviously won't win, but the points looks pretty good. Then you're going to have to bounce back and play Minnesota on the road. This is really, really, really good bounce back spot. Do I see you winning it? This is a game I could definitely see you winning. I know a lot of people are going to be like, no, at Minnesota, row the boat, come on. I could see Michigan State winning this game. I'm going to give you guys this game for my prediction. I know my predictions means less than anything than most people, even the crazy SEC guys from ESPN wouldn't care. But I like to think I'm being pretty fair here. I got you at 5-3 heading into Nebraska at home. I think this is a game you could definitely win. It's going to be a tough one. Jeff Sims is really good, and by then, Matt Rule will have kind of settled into his groove here. At this point in the season, we'll know who is what. If Nebraska's really good, we'll know for sure by now. I'm going to give you that win as well. You are now 6-3 heading into your final 3 games. You're going to lose at Ohio State. They're wearing the jerseys. You might lose by 40. This is the game every year where Michigan fans like myself begrudgingly root for Michigan State to hopefully get a loss on the page for Ohio State. But that, who cares? Then you go to the dumpster fire that is known as Bloomington, Indiana's football program. Tom Allen, hopefully for his sake, will see the writing on the wall and get out before it's too late and hopefully not get fired. But this game would not help as they're going to win this game. 7-4 for the Spartans going into the final game of the season where they will have a great home field advantage at Ford Field. They'll be buzzing for it. You could potentially have a Penn State team that's 9-2 going in this game, wondering what they're really playing for. Maybe another Rose Bowl. Maybe they don't care. I think you can catch them sleeping. This is my upset of the year prediction is Michigan State will beat Penn State in Ford Field. It'll be loud. It'll be raucous. I know you can now have alcohol at Michigan State games, but having a game indoors in Detroit, a bigger fan base than you would have up in East Lansing, in my opinion. You have people coming in, hey, I got nothing to do on Black Friday. Instead of the bars, let's go to this game and then go to the bars after, right? You can pregame. Your pregame for going out for Black Friday would be Penn State, Michigan State in Ford Field. I might find myself down there tailgating, having a great time, and hopefully beating a few of my subscribers and some of you Michigan State fans out there. But I think you can win that game, and I'm legitimately seeing Michigan State being 7 or 8 wins. I know that's nuts. Their win total, I think, is 5.5, which I think is frankly pretty low and frankly just rude. But I do think that it's going to be an easy over. It might be my bets of the year, which I'll be doing a video on that later, probably this upcoming weekend if everything's planned out correctly. But 7-5, 8-4 with a potential for a pretty good bowl game. 8-4 Big Ten team. You'll probably match up against a medium SEC team. That could be a pretty cool thing for Michigan State to do. Get some good recruiting out there. But the bowl practices alone help your team going forward big time, which people don't really realize. But thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm just trying to be an honest Michigan fan here, and I hope some of you Sparties hang around. And don't worry, there'll be plenty of good actual praise for your basketball team later this year. So like and subscribe, stick around. But yeah, thank you for watching. Peace.